I know it's pretty cool. Okay. Alrighty. So I am going to bring up my VMware. Neighbors continue to help neighbors as we need it. Let me share my screen. So here comes my screen. So now it starts here in the beginning, you're going to rely on me, so you're going to need my screen bigger. But then at the same time, you're going to need more desktop space to be able to have multiple machines open, so it becomes this balancing act, right? And eventually you won't need my help anymore, and that'll be good as well. So if we look at the prerequisites, it says materials required administrative access to 2 computers running Windows 8 or 7 with NICs. What's the NIC? Network interface card installed. Neither computer is configured as a member of a domain. We don't want that. And 2 straight through Cat5, Cat5e specifically, cables. We're doing everything virtually, right? We're doing everything virtually. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to start these bad boys back up. There's my workstation 1. Now, it says if you're doing this with a lab virtually or on a single computer, you require the following: virtualization, blah, 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 blah. We got all that. Now, with that being said, I'm not going to start walking through these directions yet. I want to show you some basic setup over here, okay? Because it is going to tell us we need to change like our IP addresses. I should hope at some point it's going to do that. So I want to start both of these up. Question? Well, why not? Who can see my screen? Somebody can see my screen. There we go. It's because it ended. It ended on him. That's why. So, what's up? Okay, so trash it and make a new linked clone. That's why I showed you how to do that. When these errors pop up, don't waste time on them. Trash it, start over, right? All right, so here we go. I'm in my Windows 7. I'm going to name this computer WS1, right? And I want to make the computer name WS1 as well for workstation 1. Okay, fine, you dirty rat. WS1. How about that? There we go. Password. You really want to have a password on these machines, because otherwise, hold on. I wonder if it picks that up. Huh, it didn't. If you don't put a password in, there's certain services that may not work, and you're trying to do these labs and you didn't put a password in, you're like, well, why can't I do this? It's because you don't have a password on your account, so it won't allow you to use that particular service. All right. I'm going to do home network. That's just going to make it a little bit easier for some of the things that we're going to do. Nah, that should be okay. It only changes a couple of different policies and stuff like that. So, Shane?
I was going to ask you, like, if you pick the wrong one, can you just go back into the system and change the settings?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that
yeah.
what it's doing? It's just like pre-configured?
It pre-configures it's primarily your firewall. It pre-configures your firewall,
Okay.
and it locks it down a little bit more so that you can't easily do things.
Okay.
So, when you're at home, it assumes that everybody at home is a trusted computer. When you're at work, it assumes everybody around you is not a trusted computer. Okay. Right? When you're public, it don't trust nobody. Right? I mean, it locks everything down. Okay. You may get this modified. You have to log off now, so you click OK, so it stops bugging you. I'm always wanting to take, really good notes with everything that we do. All right. So I'm going to write down workstation 1, workstation 2, and I'm going to write down the different notes as I go so I know what's what, and I'm keeping track of everything, and eventually I'll fall in the habit of my different addresses. So for example, my host name is going to be workstation 1. My IP address I'm going to assign as 192.168.54.10 for workstation 1. All right. This is a Class C address. The 10 because of the 1. Now, if you might be like, well, Mike, why don't you put a 1 on there? You don't know this yet, but we use 1 in a network for the gateway or a router. All right, so that's why we're going to do 10. Workstation 2, keep something memorable, right? 192.168.54.20. If I had a workstation 3, guess what I would put? 30, 40, so on and so forth. So this is all logical stuff. This is you. How are you going to logically manage your network? Right? Subnet. Subnet is going to be 255.255.255.0. We also know that as a /24. That represents how many ones are being used here. We'll get to that later, right? You just kind of write it down now. 255, 255, 255, 0. Gateway we're actually going to point in even though we don't have one, right? Our gateway we're going to put in is 192.168.54.1 for both of them. And then our DNS, we can put in for now as 192.168.54.1 as well. And the reason we want to put this in is sometimes this lab fails if we don't put in the IP addresses and actually put a gateway in.
For your subnets, it's 255, 255, 230?
It's all 255. Yep. It's a /24. So if I converted that 255 to ones, those of you that had me for Computer Science 101, and those of you that had Computer Science 1 and 2, when we talked about number systems, right? If we converted that to binary, it would be 8 ones, right? 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? And that's where the 24 comes from. 255, 255, 255, there'd be 24 ones, right? And again, I'm constantly telling you this information over and over, not expecting for you to fully have it assimilated. I get that. All right? All right. So this is what we want to do. I want to download that little program called BG Info. I'm actually connected because we bridged this. I'm going to load Chrome, and I want to download that little program called BG Info. So if I go and I type in BG Info, it should be the first hit. BG Info, Windows System Internals, Microsoft Docs. Should be one of the first hits here. There's download BG Info. You can download that guy. This is a pretty cool little tool. We'll take these and kind of stick them over here. And eventually what we want to do is we want to make it auto run, and we need to put that. I'll show you where we put that to make that auto run. We do, if I can remember, let me see. Users. Oh, where the hell's my startup? Just never remember where everything is. Let me see. All I want is the name of the directory. What's the name of the directory? Name of the directory. Name of the directory. Startup. There it is. There we go. So eventually we'll take that little file and we can throw it into there and it'll automatically start up. Now when you run it, when you run BGInfo, it's going to give you this agreement. And then what it does is it asks you, all right, what all do you want on here? And then you can kind of put different things like your fonts and everything. These are the fields that are going to show. So there it is. Now, that kind of stinks. I don't exactly like that because of the background. So I want to change my background to a color and do that. No, that's not what I want. I just want a regular color. Yes, ma'am.
My workstation 1 comes up differently than my workstation 2.
That's okay.
As in, like, the
Completely different. I'll look at it here in a minute for you. So we can adjust what we want in here, but notice how right now it says default gateway 10.20. And we can change the order of them as well. Unfortunately, I don't think you can put them up and down. You got to like put them all over. So you're going to kind of take all of these and you're going to delete them out. Whoops. We delete all that out. And then we just say, all right, I always want the IP address. Wait. I want a host name. I want IP address. Maybe I want, what else do I want? I want the subnet. And then I want gateway. Do I want gateway? Let me see. Default gateway, DHCP, DNS. There we go. So see how it just shows just the basic information that I want. All right.
That's cool. We use that at work, and I never knew what it was.
Now you know what it is. So that's Windows Server 2012. So somehow, oh, you must have right-clicked on that on accident and spun that up.
Is that not what we're supposed to do?
No, you need two workstations. One, but your second workstation you spun off of the Server 2012. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. When we say, oh, okay, yeah, that's a really good point. When I say workstation, I'm always talking about Windows 7 or Windows 10, okay? Because those are workstation operating systems. When I say server, I'm always talking about Server 2012 or 16 or 19. We're not going to, maybe we'll download and play with 19, so we say we can. What you can do is you can close that off. Don't worry about closing it off gracefully. Just shut it off and then delete it and make a new clone. And isn't that beautiful? See, you know how I used to teach this class about 15 years ago? We drug in 5 computers, and we were in groups. You didn't get to do them by yourself. And if we screwed something up, like put the wrong operating system on, we had to wait half an hour for the operating system to install. Now it's just trash it. Don't worry about it. Make a new clone. You know, you'll be back up and running in no time. All right. All right. So the other thing I want to do is I want to, and I guess we'll pick this on up on Monday, but I want to show you how to set the IP address and plug it into the appropriate place on your computers. So right up here for Workstation 1, I'm going to right-click and I can go to Settings. And I'm going to unplug my virtual cable. I'm going to unplug it from bridged, and I'm going to plug it in to a custom LAN segment. Now, on my LAN segments, I don't have any, so I want to add one, and I'm going to call it, what do I want to call it? iTech 355. No, that's not good. Let's just call it Switch 1. Can we go over how I did that? Yep. Right click, Settings, Network Adapter, And then down here you can add a LAN segment. Notice I added LAN segment switch 1. I'm going to now plug from bridge. So I want to unplug it from Frostburg Network, and I want to plug it into this new LAN segment called switch 1. Now it's not connected to anything at this point, so you make sure you have BG info already downloaded, right, on that machine. If you ever want to get back out to the internet, for now, because we don't know how to set things up to do it, you have to unplug from the switch 1 and plug back into bridge, right? So it's just like we have a cable that we would unplug it from one port and plug it into the other one. We unplugged it from bridge and we plugged it into switch 1, that it's not connected to anything.
Okay, so the part where you talk about the bridge part, the LAN segment part.
Yep.
You want us to click LAN segment and then.
So you'll come in here and you'll say LAN segment. And if you have not added a new LAN segment, you add a new LAN segment. We'll just call it switch 1. This is kind of cool. You know how much a switch actually costs? An enterprise switch costs like $3,000 to $4,000. We just said, let's make a new one. Poof, new switch created. Right? And then after you've done that, you hit OK, and then you just say LAN segment. So I was plugged into bridged. Now I want to plug it into LAN segment, and I want to plug it into my switch 1 segment of that LAN. And then I hit OK. Now what's going to happen is we're going to notice down here that we don't have an internet. So let's give it an IP address. So I'm right on track. I wanted to make sure that I showed you how to set some different things. So I'm going to come into the LAN area connection 1. We'll go to properties. We'll go to TCP IP. You can double click on that, and that's going to come up. I'll start over. No worries. So I'm going to right click down here. I want to say open network and sharing. This comes up. I'm going to click on local area connection 1. There's 3 network cards in this computer. Well, that's okay. Just select the top one. It should be fine. Click on properties. Click on Internet Protocol 4 properties. And then we're going to fill this information in here. Right? 192, whoops. Make sure your number locks on. 192.168.54.10. It should automatically fill that that's a Class C network. It says, do you want that to be CIRD 24, meaning 255.255.255? Yes. I'm going to put my gateway in, 192.168.54.1. And then I'm going to point the DNS server to the same place. Even though I don't have that particular server, it does not exist right now, I'm still going to go ahead and plug it in. I'm going to button it all up. Now if I run this again, we ought to see that down there change. There we go.
Did you fill out anything preferred or alternate DNS?
Just put 1 in and you'll be fine. Yep. And that will become apparent when we do the Pi-hole thing, if we play with that. Because what happens if your Pi-hole goes offline, you want the rest of your network to still go out. So that's what the alternate is, right? Just 192.168.54.1. Look up at these. Did you put 192.168.54.10? It's a 54.10. And does that say 255, 255, 255.0? That's 54.
Yeah, like
Whoa.
like I put it to 54 and then it switched it to 255 for me.
54 dot. This is a 10. There we go. Now try putting your gateway in. That's all good. I'll put your gateway in.
So for this one, that was the gate right there. Okay, down here, do I have to?
Same thing. 192.168.54.1. Yep. Yeah, you can just go and you can run it again.
Once you do the NMK, that would always have to do
No, it should still be there. If I went back in, it should still be there, and that should be showing up. See, if I come back in here, I guess I didn't have to go that far. I could have said, what's my details, and it should show that to me. So that sounds like a user error, Shane? And yet again, we're out of time. Now you know why I'm flipping the classroom. I want to make sure that we get ourselves up and running with this stuff. This is the important stuff. But all that stinking terminology that's in that book, you got to keep reading it. Keep plowing through it. Don't feel you have to reread that book 10 times. Okay? Just make sure you're reading externally, reading the book, doing some examples. It'll come to you between you reading it and then coming in here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay, so the second part right here, I put the same thing for both of them, and then when I push.
Yeah, delete it out on the alternate one. Just put
okay.
nothing in there. Yep. Yeah, put nothing in for the alternate. You got to launch it again. You got to launch that program again. Yeah. Hit apply. There you go. Yeah, it's not dynamic. When you say, because in a real environment, once you put that on, it never changes. And it'll launch. That's why you put it in startup, so it launches whenever you boot the computer up. In here, we got to remember to kind of cycle that because we're going to be doing different things all the time, right? It's a great little piece of software for you in here. Now remember, you can pause these if you want. You can leave them exactly where you're at, which is really, really nifty.
I have a question for you about the lab.
Mm-hmm.